Welcome to our presentation on influential Apollo missions by Leah, Amar and Jas from Seven Bhutto. Hello, today we are going to talk about influential Apollo missions and their importance and contributions to our knowledge of space exploration and travel we have today.
We are going to be covering the Apollo 1, 11, 12 and 13 moon voyages.
We will start by covering the Apollo 1 mission, which was aborted due to an accidental fire during the practice stages.
The accident occurred during the plugs out integrated test. The purpose of this test was to test run the flight procedure and troubleshoot any problems in as close to the flight simulation as possible. The test was initiated at 12:55 on 27th of January 1967. After initial system tests were completed, the flight crew entered the command module at 6 o'clock. The command pilot noted an odour in the spacecraft, and the count was held at 6:20 while a sample of the oxygen in the system was taken. The count was resumed at 7:42 with hatch installation and later cabin purge with oxygen beginning at 7:45. The odour was later found not to be related to the fire. Communication difficulties were met and the count was held at approximately 10:40 to find the problem. The problem consisted of a continuously live microphone that could not be turned off by the crew.
Although the board was not able to determine the initiator of the Apollo 1 fire, it identified the conditions that led to the disaster. These conditions were 1. A sealed cabin, pressurised with an oxygen atmosphere. 2. The distribution of combustible materials in the cabin. 3. Vulnerable wiring carrying spacecraft power. 4. Vulnerable plumbing carrying a combustible and corrosive coolants. 5. Inadequate provisions for the crew to escape. 6. Inadequate provisions for rescue or medical assistance.
Immediately after the accident, more security personnel were positioned at the launch and it was impounded. Prior to disturbing any evidence, many external and internal photographs were taken of the spacecraft. After the crew was removed, 2 experts entered the command module to verify evidence. Small groups of NASA, Apollo Review Board members, representatives and consultants inspected the exterior of the spacecraft. A series of close-up stereo photographs of the command module was taken to document the as-found condition of the spacecraft systems. The command module was shipped to the Kennedy Space Center on the 1st of February 1967 to aid the board in the investigation.
The Apollo 11 was the first ever spacecraft to land on the moon. Its primary goal was to perform a lunar land and return successfully to Earth. This goal was set by John F. Kennedy, then the USA's president. Apollo 11 launched from Cape Kennedy on the 16th of July 1969, carrying the commander Neil Armstrong, command module pilot Michael Collins, and lunar module pilot Edwin or Buzz Aldrin Jr. An estimated of 650 million people watched Armstrong's televised image and heard him describe the events as he said, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." That is now a famous saying that he said on the 20th of July 1969. Buzz Aldrin also walked on the moon. However, he was also the first person to wheel on the moon. Michael Collins, however, stayed on the ship and kept it in orbit. Michael Collins is not usually known to be part of the Apollo 11 mission. They then landed on the 24th of July 1969. Neil Armstrong was 38 years old when on the moon, but he sadly passed away on the 25th of August 2012 at the age of 82. Buzz Aldrin was 39 when he went to the moon, and he's still alive. He is 92 years old. Michael Collins, however, was 39 years old when he was part of the space mission, and unfortunately passed away on the 28th of April 2021 at the age of 90 years old. Now we will go to Apollo 12.
The goals of Apollo 12 focused on science, including investigating the lunar surface environment, in placing the first Apollo lunar surface experiments package, obtaining samples from a second lunar mare, and enhancing the capability for human lunar exploration. The crew deployed the instrument package. They collected more than 34 kilograms of samples, photographed the surface, investigated soil mechanics, collected samples of the solar wind, and retrieved parts of the Robotic Surveyor 3 spacecraft that had landed previously. Also, the Apollo 12 spacecraft was struck by lightning twice just after launch, temporarily knocking out electrical power and telemetry, but this did not stop a successful mission. The crew of this mission included Charles Conrad, Alan Bean, Richard Gordon. Now we will go to Apollo 13.
Apollo 13 spawned one of the most iconic phrases in space travel and American culture. Houston, we've had a problem. Apollo 13 launched on April 11, 1970. Due to a measles outbreak, one of the original crew members was changed. Apollo 13 was NASA's third moon landing mission, but the astronauts James Lovell, Fred Haise, and Jack Swigert have never made it to the lunar surface. During the mission's dramatic series of events, an oxygen tank explosion that occurred only 56 hours into the flight forced the crew to abandon all thoughts of reaching the moon. The spacecraft was damaged, but the crew was able to seek cramped shelter in the lunar module for the trek back to Earth, before returning to the command module for an uncomfortable splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. Thank you for your time. For more information, go to nasa.com.